Gaming monitors are the unsung, or at least slightly less sung heroes of PC gaming. What's the point of building the biggest, baddest, most RGB-ified gaming beast that pumps out hundreds of gorgeous frames per second if you only ever see a handful of them? The answer is there's no point. If you're running something like a GTX 1080 Ti along with a monitor that can only handle 1080p and a refresh rate of 60 Hz, you should be tarred and feathered. Or at the very least receive a very stern slap on the wrist. PC monitor technology has come a long way in the last few years, and real innovation can be found almost everywhere and at every price point. If you're an enthusiast looking for a display that'll make your RPG games more immersive, you'll want to grab a 4K display. If you're a pro gamer aspiring to be, or just want a competitive edge over your friends, there's a lot of reasons to go with the display that sports a high refresh rate. If you'd like the best of both worlds without breaking the bank, 1440p resolution, anything higher than 120 Hz should be right in the sweet spot. Yes, gamers are more spoiled for choice in monitors now than ever before, and it's a wonderful time to be a PC gamer. But your choice in monitor these days also depends on more factors than ever before. A major one being whether you're rocking a GPU from the red or green team. Those on Team Green have already received some love from ASUS's ROG brand in the form of displays that fully support NVIDIA's G-Sync technology. Unfortunately, AMD fans haven't been so lucky. Until now. The new ROG Strix XG series of monitors come in various sizes, resolutions, refresh rates, have a curve radius of 1800R, and best of all, they're the first ROG branded monitors to support AMD's FreeSync. 3 monitors are currently in the lineup, namely the XG27VQ, a 32-inch 1440p panel that runs at 144 Hz, the 24.5-inch 1080p XG258VQ, which pumps out a massive 240 Hz, and the monitor we got to play around with today, the 27-inch 1080p XG27VQ that throws 144 Hz right at your eyeballs. All of that sounds super impressive, but what's even more impressive is its implementation of glorious RGB. The XG27VQ brings gaming to a whole new level, single-handedly improving your accuracy in Call of Duty, your level of immersion in The Witcher 3, and your chances of scoring a date. Okay, so it doesn't really do any of that, but the monitor does feature a pretty cool RGB lit ring on the back of the monitor and a red LED on the bottom of the display that projects the ROG logo onto whatever surface you're working on. Unfortunately, the LED ring doesn't sync up with the rest of your components in your system and isn't really bright enough to illuminate the wall behind it, which is a real bummer, because that would have been amazing. But hey, RGB is like pizza. Even if it isn't perfect, it's still good, right? Right, you guys? Who am I kidding? This attempt by ASUS to slap RGB on their monitors feels lollygagged and half implemented. The underglow LED is only red, the base of the monitor is red, and then the RGB LEDs on the back don't aura sync or glow that bright. It's basically like the LEDs are just there so ASUS can really say that they're there, which is really disappointing. Apparently, there will be implementations on the monitors that are aura sync compatible with the rest of your system, but that's not the case with the XG27VQ, which makes it all feel like a super gimmick. The back area of the monitor with LEDs off with its silver look to it is far more reasonable than the RGB implementation that exists. Anyways, yes, the XG series of monitors look just as great as you'd expect from an ROG product if you exclude the weird implementation of LEDs. Though minimalist be warned, this is not the display you're looking for. The XG27VQ is similar in design to many ROG products, and that makes it one of the best looking monitors on the market. Its edges are sharp and curved at the same time. It's supported by a ridiculously gamery stand, and it has an impressively clean and modern look overall, and its stylish matte gray and red finish means it'll always stand out at a LAN party. Its build quality is also impeccable, with the whole thing coming in at a gross weight of 9.95 kilograms. Everything feels premium, polished, and quite sturdy, or at least as sturdy as plastic can get. The panel itself can be adjusted according to almost any need with ease. The screen can be rotated about 90 degrees to each side, lowered or lifted to whatever height you prefer, and has a fairly generous tilt axis. Speaking of the panel, ASUS quotes it as being IPS-like, and that marketing term isn't wrong. The viewing angles on what I assume is a VA panel are fairly good from either the horizontal or vertical extremes, with color representation being as good as you would need from a gaming monitor. If you're the type of person who likes to keep their gaming area relatively non-toxic and organized, you'll be happy to learn that the XG27VQ comes equipped with nifty cable management options. Routing cables to and from the display is a joy thanks to a removable cover on the back of the unit and a cutout in the base of the monitor stand. With cables meticulously routed and hidden wherever possible, the futuristic aesthetic of this monitor really comes into its own. Now, I personally believe the monitor to be worthy considering on looks alone, but many of you are probably also interested in how it actually performs, so let's get into that. As I mentioned earlier, the XG27VQ is a 1080p monitor that boasts a refresh rate of 144 Hz. People coming from lower refresh rate monitors will notice a massive difference before even firing up a game. Everything from mouse movements, key presses, and whatever else you're doing on the desktop feels far more responsive and accurate. This improvement naturally extends itself into games, especially competitive games and esports titles like CSGO, Overwatch, and others that rely on fast reactions. And since it's a 1080p display, you won't need something like an expensive GTR 1080 Vega to fully take advantage of its performance. My RX 580 was more than enough to keep the average FPS count in Overwatch to around 153 FPS, and with the high refresh rate and FreeSync working together seamlessly, it made for some of the smoothest competitive gaming experience I've ever had, with no jagged lines, no tearing, everything crisp and clean. I can't really say whether the 144 Hz refresh rate improved my in-game performance all that much, mostly because I'm pretty terrible at most games, but I can definitely see how it could for anybody who's at least competent. Gamers who want that extra little edge should also benefit from the display's on-screen tools such as the crosshair, FPS counter, and timer, which are built into the monitor. The display also includes a relatively expansive list of options you can play around with to tailor everything to your particular taste and needs. While the XG27VQ's 1080p resolution isn't all that much to write home about in a time where everyone and their grandma are upping their resolutions to 1440p and 4K, each game I played on looked remarkably crisp and sharp. The 27 inches of real estate, subtle yet understated curve, and FreeSync keeping all of those pesky frames in check added noticeably to immersion levels in games like The Witcher 3 and Fallout 4. If you're used to billions of pixels dancing around in front of your face, you'll undoubtedly be slightly turned off by the mere 1080p. But then again, if you're used to higher resolutions but still want an amazing refresh rate with FreeSync, you'll be better off saving up for the 1440p XG27VQ. Or if the 1920 by 1080 resolution is too stretched for you at the 27-inch form factor, you could also pick up their XG25VQ in a 24-inch form factor, but you'll also be losing the IPS-like display and upping the refresh rate to a mind-melting 240 Hz. And then on the topic of price, there's a slight premium added to each XG monitor over its competition. The cheapest XG monitor happens to be the one we're reviewing today, and it comes in at around $349 in the US, with South African pricing not yet announced. It's definitely not the cheapest 1080p, 144 Hz, 27-inch FreeSync capable monitor on the market, but considering it's one of ROG's first FreeSync capable monitors, it looks great and performs as advertised. That's kind of to be expected. But I know a lot of you aren't comfortable paying a premium for a product that's objectively better looking and performs marginally better than the rest, but I'd still advise you giving the XG27VQ a chance. Along with everything we've talked about so far, the monitor also comes with some sweet features like extra low motion blur, which sharpens up moving objects, flicker-free technology for reduced eye strain, and a host of others that set it apart from its competition. It'll come as little shock to anyone that a 144 Hz panel is pretty great for gaming, but if you're looking for great performance as well as style, the ROG Strix XG27VQ has you covered. It's not the perfect monitor for everyone, but for a large size 1080p high refresh rate AMD monitor, you can't really do much better. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up there. What do you guys think of ASUS's new XG lineup of FreeSync monitors? Something you'll consider buying? I know I, for one, am glad to see that more options are becoming available in the FreeSync range, as G-Sync panels have been pushed out by everyone as of late. Anyways, big thanks to ASUS South Africa for sending the XG27VQ over for review. Be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed this review, hit that subscribe button while you're down there to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content. I'm Brett with the UF Disciple channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers. While the XG27VQ's 1080p resolution isn't all that much to write home about in a time where almost everyone is upping their grandma. Oh, that was bad.